Welcome back to Investing in Trading Live, sponsored by Online Trading Academy. My name is Josh Lilquist, and I have my good friend, my good pal Al on the show here today, and we have been discussing supply and demand in the financial markets, how the big institutions move the market, and how us, as the retail traders, the public, how we can trade with them and not against them. I always talk about, hey, and then I say, hey, who wants me to teach them how to beat the big banks? And everybody raise their hand. We will never beat the big banks. It takes billions and billions of dollars to move the markets. That's why us, as the public, we have an advantage in the financial markets because we can get in and out of our positions, whether it's in stocks or futures or options, doesn't matter, and not even be seen in the market. And we have investing classes to kind of show you these techniques and strategies that we're talking about here. Great fun times that we have in the classes here. We're in Bloomington, right off 494, real simple to get to. We also have classes in Edina. We have them in Shorewood. We have these in Maple Grove. And we have a lot of fun talking about how the markets work and how to take part safely and confidently. If you want to come into one of these classes, simply just text the word investing to the number 210-210, and that's for 2 seats, one for you and one for a friend. Text the word investing to the number 210-210, or if you're one of those 90s people, call 952-814-4410. That's 952-814-4410. That being said, Al, I want to talk a little bit about where to park your money. You get a lot of people that come to the academy. I mean, we're seeing a lot of people in their 50s and 60s and saying, hey, I'm getting close to retirement and I just don't know where to park my money so it's safe. And I want to talk about that. And we'll talk about where different opportunities with the market to park your money, but also using the right assets to use that as protection for your capital, even if you're in the market. So I want you to talk about, let's just say somebody has a portfolio, an IRA, 401k. It doesn't really matter what type of account it is. It's monies in the market. Now, what are their options with those accounts? What can you do with those to park your money in a safe place?
Well, unfortunately, what a lot of people do is put their money into a savings, just a regular savings account at a bank, or maybe a checking account that pays a little under 1%. Or they, I mean, you could even say they'll put it under their mattress. But unfortunately, people become sometimes, too conservative, and they let inflation eat away at the value of their money.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of people that come to the academy that have $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, and they're like, you know what? It's not going to be enough.
No, and it's been sitting in accounts over the last 2 or 3 years where they have been losing money because the rate of inflation has far exceeded the returns that they're getting. Now things have been changing a bit. There are things that you can do. First of all, understand this, that over the long term, the only way to truly grow your money is to invest it. And by doing that, we don't mean that you have to take a lot of risk. And that's the problem. A lot of people get into retirement or close to retirement. They go, I've got $300,000-$400,000, but I might live another 20 or 30 years. That's not going to last that long.
I want you to clarify that, Al, because you said the only way to grow your money, or the best way, is to invest.
Right.
Well, what if somebody buried it and poured water on it every day? Is it going to grow that way?
No, if you want to do that, the only thing that you can have grow correctly are flowers, grass, things that you can put water on, fertilize, and it will grow. But money does not do that.
But the funny thing is they say money doesn't grow on trees, which is true. But what is money made out of?
It's made of paper that comes from trees.
Oh, wait. I knew you were going to say that. I was trying to trick you there. It's actually it's a computer button now.
Well,
it's all created based off a computer button.
And that's coming in a form that we need to be very concerned about in the future too, which is another reason that people need to know how to take control of the assets that they have.
Exactly.
But whatever assets you have, that's something that you can utilize that, get the greatest benefit out of whatever the amount of money you have in retirement. If it's $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, or $100,000, how do you get the best benefit from that to help you make it through whatever years you have left? And it doesn't mean that you have to take on risk. There are strategies that we show our students how to use where you're minimizing that risk. I mean, you keep it down to the point where if we always say, we love small losses. Well, why would we say that? Because a small loss can never become a big loss. So one thing you have to eliminate are those big losses. But there are assets and strategies you can use to increase the control of risk. There are assets and strategies you can use to increase the returns of what you might have in your portfolio without selling anything or buying anything more. Those are all things that you're not being taught by Wall Street, and you're certainly not being taught these things in school. We have a strategy we call a strategic investor. This is where most of our students would park their money, as you referred to it. That's a strategy that has three primary components to it. One is protection, that's number one. But number two is an income source. It's whatever that amount of money is in retirement that you have. The amount isn't as important as the amount of income you can generate off of it. That's why the income generating strategies are so important. So that's a component of the strategic investor. And then also grow it. There's going to be some market participation to do that, but we actually manage that for you. And it doesn't mean putting your money into something and then just letting it ride, letting it sit there and choosing a direction you think the market's going to go. It means maybe making some movement from one sector to another or one index to another. But in the strategic investor strategy, we're actually making those moves for you or showing you what those moves should be.
Yeah, and I just want to, I'm glad you were kind of explaining that way, because I want to put some facts to that with the S&P 500. Because if you look at the S&P 500, that's kind of the overall gauge of the markets.
There's 11 economic sectors that are involved there.
There you go. So looking at the S&P 500, in June of 2021, the S&P 500, I'm looking at the SPY, it's the ETF, it's the exchange traded fund
Right.
for the S&P 500, and people can invest with that. That's an investable instrument, we'll call it. It was at $423 back in June of 2021. As of today, the S&P 500 SPY ETF is at $423.
Okay.
So for those people that just put their money and park their money in something and just let it sit there, we're coming up on 2024, so there's almost going to be 2 to 3 years with zero growth for those people.
Right.
But they're probably paying fees if they have a money manager doing that right now. But one of the main components and the things that you really help a lot of people with is, where are they at now? And let's just say you've worked, there's been a lot of people coming in collaboration with these people coming in, which is pretty cool. They have between, a lot of times it's between 100 and 500,000, and they know it's not going to be enough. They say, they feel good because they've saved a little bit, but they just know it's not going to be enough to retire. So they're in their 50s, even 60s, and they have that. Now, one of the things that you really work on with people is, what is the rate of return that you need to get to where that you need to be? So it's not just about investing and just hoping. It's what is that rate of return, and then what are the right assets that you can trade or use to get there. And I want to talk about those assets on the next segment here. But that's the key, is what is the rate of return you need? What is the asset that is the best designed for that? And then how do you do that with the most safest way possible? And that's, I know you've worked with a lot of people with that range. It's been between 100 and 500. And that's kind of been lately. We have obviously people that come in with a lot more capital, but they also know it's not enough. But they might be just in protection mode. So the people that have enough, they feel they have enough, 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 million or whatever that may be, they feel they're okay. They don't want to lose it in a market downturn. As we kicked off the show, the Dow is in negative territory this year. The S&P and the NASDAQ are still up, great, good, but it's still down from the highs. So that's what we talk about in these investing classes, is we get you started on where are you now, where do you need to be, and then how do we get there the safest way possible. And I want to invite people to come to these investing classes. We have these retirement classes at the Academy. We're right off 494, real easy to get to in Bloomington. And we even have these in Edina. I believe we're running some of these in Wayzata. Maple Grove, we have these in Woodbury as well. So we have classes in different areas, so that way people have an easier way to get there. But our main academy is locally here in Bloomington. So to come into one of these classes, you can simply just text the word investing to the number 210-210, one for you and one for a friend, so you get two passes for that. I'm also going to give away the jumbo pack, and there's some strategies and some information on how to get started, how to make smart investing decisions, but potentially in where to park your money in a market downturn. So text investing to the number 210-210, or simply just call 952-814-4410. That's 952-814-4410, and that's for 2 seats, one for you and one for a friend. We get a lot of people that want to go to our website too, Al, so I'm going to give that. Simply just go to investwithota.com. That's investwithota.com. So coming up next, Al, I want to talk about those assets. We talk about what is the rate of return that you need to get to your retirement monies, and then how do you get there the safest way possible. We'll talk about those assets coming up next. This is Josh and Al, Investing and Trading Live. We will be right back.